Hi friends, my name is Maruti and I'm the co-founder of Cracku. In this video, we are giving the video solutions for LRDI section of slot 3 of CAT 2025. Please pause the video at the start and try to solve the LRDI set on your own. If you're not able to solve it, you can look at the video solution. If you have doubts in any one of the LRDI sets, please feel free to comment below this video. I look at all the comments and I'll try to respond to them to the best of my ability. In addition to this video, definitely do check out the LRDI playlist where we give you a list of very important LRDI videos that we have made, which will help you quite a lot. The link for the playlist is given in the description of this video. Definitely do check it out. In this question, we are given a game where there are 7 children. The names of the children are Arav, Beena, Chirag, Diya, Ishan, Farhan and Gaurav. For the sake of simplicity, let us call them A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They are sitting in a circle but not necessarily in the same order, and they are passing the buck. The buck can be passed to either somebody who is immediately to the left or immediately to the right, or second to the left or second to the right. Initially, the game starts with Beena, who passes the buck, and finally Chirag receives the buck. This is passed 10 times. Now some information is given. Using this information, we have to figure out who is sitting where and where the buck was passed in each of the 10 times. So let us first draw a table, or in this particular case, let us draw a circle. Let us assume that this is the circle. We need to fit 7 children in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Let us assume that this is it. Because this is a circle, we can assume that the first person, which is Beena, is sitting like this over here. And where does she give the buck? First she passes it immediately to the left, and this is received by Arav. So Beena is 0. She started the game. Immediately to the left of her is Arav. Arav received the buck once. This is 1. Next, Arav gives it second to the right. So Arav gives it to this person over here. We don't know who it is. And this person gives it immediately to the right to Diya. So Diya receives it third, and this will be Diya. After that, something happens. We don't know what happened. And who received it also we don't know. Again something happens, we don't know who it is, and then the buck is received by Arav. So Arav received it 5th. So he received it first, he also received it 5th. So the buck went from Diya over here to Arav in 2 steps. So the 4th one can be 1 to the left and the 5th one can be 2 to the left. That is one possibility. Or the 4th one can be 2 to the left and the 5th one can be 1 to the left. This is the second possibility. Or the third possibility is the 4th one can be 2 to the right and the 5th one can also be 2 to the right. So there are 3 cases. As of now, we don't know what happened in the 4th and the 5th one. Let us go to the next one. Arav then gives it second to the left and that person received it 6th. So second to the left is, this is 6th. This person received the buck the 6th time. Again, we don't know what happened or who it is here. And immediately to the left is Gaurav. So Gaurav received it 7th. This will be 7 and this will be Gaurav. Next, Gaurav gives it immediately to the left. That will be Diya. So Diya receives it 8th also. And this basically is, let me write it down so that there is no confusion. This will be Diya. And after Diya, 9th, we don't know what Diya did. It went to Farhan. We don't know what Farhan did, and then it went to Chirag. So basically, if you're looking at the circle, we know the positions of, or the relative positions of 4 people. We know it for Arav, Beena, Gaurav and Diya. We don't know it for 3 people. The 3 people are Chirag, Farhan and Ishan. What we do know is, Diya gave it to Farhan and Farhan gave it to Chirag. This is from 8, 9 and 10. This is known to us. This is where Diya is sitting. Now say if Farhan is sitting over here in the second place, he can't transfer it directly to Chirag or who is sitting either in one of these 2. So this cannot be Farhan, to whom Diya has given. So Farhan has to be one of these 2, either this or this has to be Farhan. But again, if one of these 2 is Farhan and if say this is Chirag, he can't transfer it from here to here. Farhan and Chirag have to sit basically close to each other. Farhan and Chirag have to be at max 2 steps away from each other, because that is how Farhan has transferred the buck from himself to Chirag. So this cannot even be Chirag. The only possibility therefore is that this has to be Ishan. One of these two has to be Farhan, and again if you think about it, Farhan took the buck from Dia. The only possibility is that this has to be Farhan. And this has to be Chirag. So Farhan received it 9th, so this is 6, 9, and Chirag received it 10th. If you are looking at the spots, 1, 2, 3, we don't know what happened in the fourth one, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So we know everything else except who received the fourth one. In fact, 6th is Farhan, so we'll actually put Farhan's name also over here. And as far as 9th and 10th, what is the past type? From Dia to Farhan is second to the right. And from Farhan to Chirag is immediately to the right. Now if you are looking at the fourth pass, remember what happened? Dia received it after the third pass. She gave it to somebody in the fourth, and that somebody gave it to Arav. So like we discussed, there are 3 possibilities for the fourth pass. Dia received the third one, and after that it was Arav who received the 5th one. Somebody received it in the middle. This somebody can be either Farhan. This is Dia, she gave it second to the right to Farhan, who gave it second to the right to Arav. In this case, it will be second to right to Farhan, and Farhan also gave second to right to Arav. This is one possibility. Or the other possibility is that this is Dia and this is Arav, and the person who received it first is Ishan. In this case, Dia gave it immediately to the left, and Ishan gave it second to the left to Arav. The third case is very similar. Again, Dia received the buck and Arav received it afterwards. And now it is actually Beena who received it in the middle. This is second to left, and Beena gave it to Arav, who is immediately left. Basically, there are 3 cases, and we can't really rule out any one of the case as far as the 4th and the 5th pass types are concerned. With this being done, let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. Who is sitting immediately to the right of Beena? Immediately to the right of Beena, Ishan is sitting. So it is option B. Who is sitting third to the left of Ishan? Third to the left of Ishan is 1, 2, 3. It will be Chirag. Which of the following past types can the total number of occurrences be uniquely determined? If you are looking at the past types, the only confusion is with respect to 4th and 5th. Only these 2 is where we are having a confusion. Everything else is actually determined. Now if you are thinking about it, 4th and 5th, we can't determine how many times second to right has come. It can either come 2 times or it can come 0 times. We cannot determine immediately left because it can come either 1 time in these 2 cases or 0 times in this case. We cannot determine second to left because it can either come 1 time in these 2 cases or 0 times over here. So second to right can be either 0 or 2 in just the 4th and the 5th pass types. Immediately left can be either 0 or 1 in these 2 passes, 4th and the 5th pass. Second to left also can be either 0 or 1 in these 2 passes. But in these 2 passes, immediately right is always 0. and in the remaining 8, immediately right comes over here once and over here twice. So one thing we can say for certain is that immediately right will definitely come 2 times overall. That is the only pass type which can be uniquely determined, which will be option C. For which of the following children is it possible to determine how many times they received the buck? Again, if you figure out the number of times they received the buck, we can determine for everything except the fourth one. In fact, even for the second one, we know who received the second one. It is Ishan. This is. So the only thing that is confusing or that cannot be uniquely determined is who received the buck on the fourth turn. This is the only thing that cannot be determined. Now that can be either Farhan or Ishan or Bina. So the number of times these 3 guys have gotten the buck cannot be determined uniquely, because it can be either 0 or 1 in this particular, the fourth pass. But for everybody else we can uniquely determine. So we cannot uniquely determine for Farhan, Bina or Ishan. But we can uniquely determine it for Gaurav, and we can uniquely determine it for everybody else. One of the things that I want to tell you is in these last few days in the run up to CAT, solving a lot of questions will be very useful to you. So we have created a lot of PDFs which include useful questions. You can download those PDF. You have to just Google search Cracku Quant topic wise questions and you will get the PDFs and try to solve them on your own. Once you solve the question or once you struggle to solve the question, the link for the video solution is given in the PDF itself. These PDFs have been downloaded thousands of times in the last few weeks. I'm sure they'll be very useful to you. Download these PDFs and try to solve them. Again, just you have to Google search Cracku Quant topic wise questions to get the PDFs. In this question, we are told that there are 4 countries. Let us call them A, B, C and Z. And the currencies of the 4 countries are A, B, C and Z again. Now they have different exchange rates. One exchange rate is given to us. We are told that 1 crown is 0.5 zenter. That is 1 C is equal to 0.5 Z. Or just to avoid decimals, we can write Z is equal to 2C. In addition to it, we are told that there are 3 travelers. The names of the travelers are J, K and L. They visited 2 countries and basically they have something called flight cost. So let us draw some tables. This will be J, this is K and this is L. All of them have a flight cost and they also visited 2 countries. This is a country 1 and country 2. And there is also a total cost. Total cost is basically the total money that they spent. I think that is called the travel cost. So every person has one flight cost. He has spent some money in each of the countries, country 1 and country 2. And then he also has something called the total travel cost. This is basically what is given. We are also told that the flight cost of J is 4000 zenters. So J is 4000 Z. Z is 2C, so this is basically equal to 8000 C. And that of the other 2 is 5000 and 6000 zenters. So, but we don't know in which order. So for K and L, it is either 5000 or 6000 Zen. We don't know who got 5000 and who got 6000. We are also told that when any person is visiting any of the countries, he has spent 1000, 2000 or 3000 in the local currencies. So if you think about it, we have 6 scenarios. That is, J visited 2 countries, K visited 2 countries, L visited 2 countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. All of them are either 1000 or 2000 or 3000. We don't know which one is which. We are also told that across the visits, there are exactly 2 spends of 1000. So out of the 6, 2 of them are 1000. One spend is 3000. So what will happen to the remaining 3? The remaining 3 have to be 2000. Because we have 3 people who are visiting 2 countries each, the total has to be 6. Travel cost is the flight cost plus the total money spent in each of the 2 countries. Now we have some information that is given. The person from A is saying that J and K visited them. So basically, one country that J visited is A, one country that K visited is A, and the travel costs are 3,500 and 8,000. So the total travel cost is 3,500 A, and for B it is 8,000 A. The person from B is saying that K and L visited their country. So K visited B, L also visited B. Spending 2,000 and 3,000. So B spent 2,000 here and K spent 2,000 in B, L spent 3,000 in B. And the total travel cost of K is 4,000. So this is equal to 4,000 B. So again we have some information here. 8,000 A is equal to 4,000 B. So this would imply that B is equal to 2A. Similarly, if you think about it, we have 1 2,000 amongst the 6 values, that is taken care of. We have 1 3,000, that also is taken care of. So it would imply that the 4 values which are remaining are 2 of them are thousands and 2 of them are 2,000s. Specifically, the money that K spent in A has to be 1,000. It cannot be 2,000. It cannot be 2,000 because it is mentioned over here that each traveler had different spends in the local currency in the 2 countries that he or she visited. So because K already spent 2,000 in B, K cannot spend 2,000 in A. So the only possibility is that K spent 1,000 in A. So we have taken care of 1,000. Now there are 3 blanks here, 1, 2 and 3. And out of these 3 blanks, we have 1,000 and we have 2 2,000s. Now one more thing you have to think about is that the 2 blanks about how much J spent, they cannot be equal. One of them has to be 1,000 and one of them has to be 2,000. We don't know which is which, but we know that this is either 1,000 or 2,000. This also has to be 1,000 or 2,000. Both of them cannot be 2,000 because both of them cannot be the same. So the only number which will be missing, we have accounted for 1,000 and 2,000. The only number which is missing is a 2,000. It will come over here. And the 2 countries that are missing, J visited A. What is the other country that he visited? It has to be C. Similarly, L visited B. What is the other country? The other country has to be C. The last piece of information is that L visited our country and her travel cost is 36,000. So this is equal to 36,000. See. Because all of them over here are in A, B and C, even the flight cost that we have in Z, let us try to convert it into C just for the sake of ease of computation. 4,000 Z will be equal to 8,000 C. So this is basically equal to 8,000 C. 5,000, 6,000 Z will be equal to 10,000 or 12,000 C. This also is either 10,000 or 12,000 C. Now how can we identify what is the value of A to C, for example? We know that flight cost plus total cost in this 2 has to equal the travel cost. So if you are thinking about it, let us try to compute it here. From the standpoint of J, what is the total cost of J? It is 8,000 C, which is the flight cost, plus there are 2 cases, either he spent 1,000 in A and 2,000 in C, or the other way around. So if you are looking at the first case, suppose he spent 1,000 in A. So 8,000 C plus 1,000 A plus 2000C is equal to 3500A. This is the first case. The second case is that 8000C plus he spent 2000 in A and 1000 in C is equal to 3500A. In this case, if you are simplifying it, this will be 10,000C is equal to 2500A. So A will be equal to 4C. In this case, if you are computing it, 8000C plus 1000C is 9000C is equal to 1500A. So A is equal to 6C. One of these two has to be the case. Either A is equal to 4C or A is equal to 6C. Let us look at any one of the other two. Let us, for example, look at L. What is the total cost of L? The total money he spent in country 1 is 3000B. And we know that B is equal to 2A. So that is 6000A plus the total money that he spent in country 2 is 2000C plus the total flight cost is either 10,000 or 12,000C. This has to equal his total travel cost, which is 36,000C. If you are simplifying it, 6000A is either equal to 24,000C or 6000A is equal to, this is 34 minus 22,000C. So either A is equal to 4C or A is equal to 22 by 6C. Now this has to be true and this also has to be true. One of these two has to be true. The only case which is common to both of them is that A is equal to 4C. If A is equal to 6C, both of them will not be true. So either A is 4C or 22 by 6C. Here A is either 4C or 6C. The only thing that is common is A is equal to 4C. This would imply that A is equal to 4C. And what is the case that we are getting? We are getting 1000A plus 2000C. So here we have to get 1000 and for C we have to get 2000. Similarly, over here, if you are thinking about it, we need to get A is equal to 4C. That would imply that this has to be 10,000C. 6000A plus 2000C plus 10,000C is equal to 36,000C. Only here it will be the case. So it will be, this is 10,000C and this will be 12,000C. And just for the sake of completeness, we have Z is equal to 2C, A is equal to 4C and B is equal to 2A. This is the currency conversion between the different currencies. Let us look at it. What is the total sum of travel costs of all the travelers in Center? Travel cost of travel cost of J is 3500A. What is the link between A and Z? A is equal to 4C, Z is equal to 2C, so A is equal to 2Z. So from J, the total travel cost is 7000Z. From B, it is 8000A into 2 is 16000Z. From C, it is 36,000C. You divide it by 2, it is 18,000Z. This will total to 41,000Z. How many Zenters did Leon spend in the two countries he visited? Leon spent 3000B and 2000C. Now, A is equal to 2Z, B is equal to 2A, so B is equal to 4Z. So the total money Leon spent in B will be 12,000. The total money that L spent in C is 2000 C, which is equal to 1000 Z. So the total money will be 13,000. What was J's total spent in the two countries he visited in A? J spent, here it is 1000 A, and in C he spent 2000 C, and A is equal to 4C. So C is equal to 1/4 of A. So 2000 C will be 500 A, which is equal to 1500. 1B is equal to how many crowns? B is equal to 4Z, Z is equal to 2C. So 1B is equal to 8C, which is option A. Which of the following statements is not true about the money spent in the local currency? J spent 2000 in A. That is not true because J spent only 1000 in A. So this is not true. That will be the answer. But just for the sake of completeness, let us look at the remaining three options also. L spent 2000 in C. L spent 2000 in C. This is true. J spent 2000 in C. J spent 2000 in C. This also is true. K spent 1000 in A. K spent 1000 in A. This also is true. So the only option which is not true is option A.
DILR feels unpredictable. It's not luck. It's a smart set selection. Many fear DILR, but how does CAT actually frames the paper? There are definitely solvable sets when you learn to navigate and pick sets from your comfort zone. And for set selection strategy, PYQs are your best resource. We team Cracku have compiled CAT DILR questions all at one place. Just Google CAT DILR questions to practice, analyze, watch video solution and download PDFs.
Hi friends, welcome to Cracku's video series. In this particular video, we'll be taking a look at a chart space set. The chart set is fairly simple. If you actually are able to read the chart, the remaining part of the set is like super trivial, super simple. But how do you actually attempt this particular set? How do you actually make sense of the chart? So firstly, I'll teach you how to read this chart. Then we'll take a look at the set. Okay, so over here we are given some set which is about a number of puzzles that are solved. Okay. It's a step chart. So let us first learn how to read a step chart, then we'll take a look at this puzzle specifically. So what is a step chart? So think of it in this way, okay? If I have a chart like this, okay? I essentially in the step chart show when a particular step has been achieved, okay? This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 suppose. Suppose there are 7 levels or 8 levels. 7 levels of something. This is time. So what does a step chart essentially show? I am showing at what time a particular level is achieved. You always start from 0, right? So when the time first starts, so for example, if I show this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. These are the minutes as such. Suppose I finish the first task in say 4 minutes. How do I show that? For the first 4 minutes, I have done no task. After the first 4 minutes are done, I am showing that this task 1 is over. So I show that this line is there. I will show it in a different color. So I will show this, or I will draw a thicker line only. So I will show this line, flat line till here, okay? That for the first 4 minutes, 0 tasks are complete, but the minute 4 minutes are over, 1 task is complete. So I will show that, okay, this point is there. This indicates that at the end of 4 minutes, 1 task is complete. Suppose for the first task, I take 4 minutes. For the second task, I say take 3 minutes. For the third task, I take 1 minute. For the fourth task, I take say 1 minute. Fifth task, 2 minutes and so on. So 4 minutes, first task is done. I have reached this step up at 4 minutes. The second task will take 3 more minutes, which means cumulatively how much time will it take? 4 plus 3, 7 minutes. which means till the end of 7 minutes, I'm going to be at one task. So 1, 2, 3. Till over here, I'm going to be at one task. Okay. I'm going to show it like this is 3 minutes extra. So this is where I'm going to be. Okay. I'll remove this. So my first task till 7 minutes, it is going to be at first task level. After 3 more minutes, my second task is over. So I'll again jump up like this. So over here it will go to second task. The third task takes only 1 minute. So from 7 minutes to 8 minutes, it is going to be flat. But the minute 8 minutes are over, again I'm going to jump up and show that 3 tasks are over at this point of time. Another fourth task also takes 1 minute. So at 9 minutes, till 8 minutes to 9 minutes, it will be at 3 tasks. But at 9th minute, again, it is going to jump up to 4 tasks. So I am showing that 4 tasks is done at 9 minutes. Again, let us say that 5th task takes 2 minutes. 9 minutes plus 2 is 11 minutes. So till 11 minutes, I am going to show flat line like this. And at 11 minutes, again, I am going to jump up and show that the 5th task is over. Okay, this is slightly wonky, but okay. I am trying to show that 5th task is done at 11 minutes. Okay, suppose 6th task takes me another 3 minutes, which means that this is over here at 11 minutes, it is 5 tasks. Another 3 minutes, 1, 2, 3. So at this, it is going to jump up again. So till here it will be flat and then again jump up to show the 6th task. So this is the step chart. I am just showing you how many tasks are completed, and the minute a task is completed, I am going to show a step up function as such. So this chart is not a continuous chart. Why is it not a continuous chart? See, if I was showing how much work was completed, I draw a straight line. That is from here to here, chart 1, task 1 is completed. Here to here, task 2 is completed. But I am not showing you this. I am showing you the jump up because I am not showing the work done. I am showing how many tasks are completed or how many levels are completed. Something similar is over here where we have how many puzzles are completed. So just looking at this chart, suppose this was not given, okay? All this information was not given. Suppose we were just directly asked, how much time does it take to do, say, puzzle number 6? Can we find out how much time does it take to do puzzle number 6? My puzzle number 6 is over here, okay? This is puzzle number 6. So puzzle number 6 is done at, say, this is 14 minutes. When does puzzle number 6 start? It starts after the 5th puzzle is over. When is the 5th puzzle over? 5th puzzle is over is at this point. 6th puzzle is over at this point. So this distance or this horizontal width is the time taken for doing the 6th task. So how much time is that? This is 11 minutes, this is 14 minutes. So the 6th task takes 3 minutes. How much does the 5th task take? This is when the 5th task is over. This is when the 4th task is over. So this horizontal distance is how much the 5th task takes. So that is, if I see the chart, it is 2 minutes. How much does the 4th task take? Again, this is the horizontal distance, it is 1 minute. How much does the 3rd task take? Again 1 minute. How much does the first task take? So this is 3 minutes. So if I see my particular chart, I will see that whenever this step up is occurring, that is basically the time taken. So if I see my chart, whenever I see the horizontal distance between those step ups, that is the time taken for that particular task. So this second task is for 3 minutes. How much is the first task? I again take the horizontal width. This is the first task width, which is 4 minutes. So if I see the horizontal width between those step ups, I get the time taken for each task as such. This is basically how you read a step chart like this. It is nothing really original or like a very different chart. You just have to logically think that what does each step represent. And once you understand that, reading the chart is super simple. Once you know how to read this chart, solving this set is trivial. So now let us take a look at how to solve this set. So let's take a look at this particular puzzle. So we are given ACKS participated in a puzzle solving competition. The competition comprised 10 puzzles that had to be solved in the same sequence. That is, a competitor got access to a puzzle as soon as they solved the previous puzzle. Some of the puzzles were visual puzzles, the other were number-based puzzles. The winner of the competition was the one who solved all the puzzles in the least time. The following charts describe their progress in the competition. The chart on the left shows the number of puzzles solved by each competitor at a given time. So in minutes after the start of the competition, The chart on the right shows a number of visual puzzles solved by each competitor at a given time in minutes after the start of competition. So this is all the puzzles. There are total of 10 puzzles. So if you see Kaushik's it is a green stick, right? So this is 10 minutes, which means that each unit of time, this is 2 minutes. So he solves the first puzzle. If you see that green tick, it goes up. The step goes up at 2 minutes, which means that at 2 minutes he is done with the first puzzle. Similarly, if I keep tracing Kaushik's curve, the second puzzle he has solved by 4 minutes. The third puzzle he has solved by another 3 minutes. So 7 minutes he has solved the third puzzle. So we can see the number of puzzles he has solved over here. At what time, how many puzzles in total has he solved? But these puzzles have to be split up as visual puzzles and number puzzles. How many visual puzzles are there? How many number puzzles are there? We don't know. So, but we know at least at the puzzle level, all puzzle level, in what, like basically how much time is taken per puzzle. Look at the visual puzzles. It tells you the subset of this. This, all puzzles minus visual puzzles will give you the number of number puzzles as such. How many puzzles are there in total? The chart goes up till 10, which means that all in total, all of them have solved 10 puzzles. The visual puzzles, where does it go up to? 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4, it flatlines. So, in all of those 40 minutes, these guys have solved 10 puzzles in total, but 4 visual puzzles, which means that there must be 6 number puzzles. So, let me draw a table. I personally do not like charts. I prefer tables as such. So I would say that let me convert this into a table format because I prefer a table. It becomes easy for me to see and understand a table. So let me draw that. So firstly, I know there are 4 visual puzzles and there are 6 number puzzles. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are for the visual puzzles. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the total chart, total table that I have to make. Visual 1, visual 2, visual 3, visual 4, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. And I have the 4 contestants. Now one more thing that if you notice is, I don't know whether the number puzzles come first, the visual puzzles come first, in what order they come. I see that it is kind of interlaced because the first puzzle that if I see Kaushik only, I prefer the green line. First puzzle Kaushik solves in 2 minutes. Here also each tick is 2 minutes. So here the first visual puzzle he solves in 2 minutes. The first puzzle that he solves is also in 2 minutes. So the first puzzle that he solves is the visual puzzle. But look at the second puzzle he solves. The second visual puzzle he solves is by the 12th minute, but the second puzzle he solves is only by the 4th minute, which means that the second puzzle he solves has to be a number puzzle, which means that the order of these puzzles has to be mixed. So let me put one particular column for order. I will figure out what is the order using one person, say Kaushik. I will try to figure out in what order are these puzzles coming. Then I will also put like a column for each of the 4 contestants. Okay, there is A, C, K, S, right? So this is A, this is C, this is K, this is S. Now my first instinct would be to kind of fill the entire table, but don't go ahead and fill it. Fill only what is needed according to the questions that are asked. We'll try to minimize the time that is taken. But for the sake of, for me to even understand or make sense of the puzzle, I prefer to have this table there so that once that table is there, at least the format is there, I know how to move forward. Do I actually move forward and fill the puzzle? Not unless I'm specifically asked about something, I don't move ahead and fill the table. Now that I know that I have to make something like this, let me go and take a look at the questions and let me see what is really needed. The first question is, who had solved the largest number of puzzles by the 20th minute from the start of the competition? 20th minute I need for all puzzles. Now let me just see the chart over here. Where is the 20th minute? 20th minute is this, okay? This is the 20th minute, okay? I want to see the total number of puzzles solved by everyone. So puzzles solved by everyone by the 20th minute. This is not visual puzzles, this is not number puzzles, all puzzles. But all puzzles by 20th minute, I can just see how many each one has solved. By the 20th minute, if I see Anirbid is over here, he has solved 5 puzzles. So Anirbid has solved 5 puzzles by the 20th minute. How many has Chandranath solved? The yellow line is also there at 5 puzzles only. So Chandranath has also solved 5 puzzles. How many has Kaushik solved, which is the green line? If I go up along this is 7. So Kaushik has solved 7 puzzles. How am I reading this? See, basically, every time I solve a puzzle, there is like this step up, okay? That step tells me where it has reached, where a particular person has reached in the puzzle solving. So I am just counting how many steps each one has taken at the 20th minute. At what step number are you? I see that A and C are at step number 5, which means that they have solved 5 puzzles each. Kaushik, if I go up, Kaushik is at step number 7, which means that he has solved 7 puzzles. Suranjan is at step number 4, which means that he has solved only 4 puzzles. He is still here. Look at this. This is the point he is at 20th minutes, which means he has solved only 4 puzzles in 20 minutes. So among these 4, who has solved the largest number of puzzles at 20th minute? That has to be Kaushik. Kaushik has solved 7 puzzles. The remaining have solved only like 5, 5 and 4. So this is the first thing. First thing that you realize is how to read this. If I want, how many puzzles are there at the 30th minute? I go up and I see that, okay, these guys, red is at 8 puzzles, blue is at 9 puzzles, green is at 9 puzzles, and yellow is at all 10 puzzles. If I just go vertically, okay, I'll find the number of puzzles at any given point of time. But I don't know how much time they are taking per puzzle because it is a step function. You have to see the start of the step and the end of the step to figure out the time taken per puzzle as such. Okay. So this first one I could answer without filling anything in the table. Let's see the second one. The second one is, how many minutes did Suranjan take to solve the third visual puzzle in the competition? Third visual puzzle in the competition, I need to figure out at least the order. If I figure out the order, then I can take a look at Suranjan's specific curve and figure out how much time he is taking for the third puzzle as such. Because if I just see the visual puzzles, I don't know when he starts solving because it's a mix of number and visual puzzles. So let me go back and try to first figure out the order of the puzzles. Okay, I will follow because I find the green line to be most easy to read. It is very different from every line. It is not overlapping. I use Kaushik because it is the most distinct line as such. What is the first puzzle that Kaushik solves? The first puzzle that he solves is in 2 minutes. Is it a visual puzzle? Yes. I see that in the 2 minutes mark, he has also solved one visual puzzle, which means that the first puzzle that Kaushik solves is a visual puzzle. Okay. Now consider what is the second puzzle that Kaushik solves. Second puzzle that he solves is in another 2 minutes. Okay. If I look over here, this is the second puzzle that he solves in another 2 minutes. What is the second visual puzzle he solves? In 4 minutes, he has solved 2 puzzles. Here the second puzzle that he is solving, visual puzzle, is at 12-minute mark. So which means that the second number puzzle that he solves, second puzzle that he solves has to be a number puzzle. Otherwise, here you are expecting a second bump over here. It has to come over here because in the 4th minute he has solved another puzzle. So the second puzzle, since it is not showing up in this particular chart, it has to be a number puzzle. So whatever is shown as a step here and is not a step here has to be a number puzzle. If it is a step here as well as a step here, that means it's a visual puzzle. So at 2-minute mark you have a visual puzzle, so that's the first visual puzzle. At 12-minute mark you have a visual puzzle over here and over here, so it has to be a visual puzzle. Just see where the visual puzzles are. Here this is at the 12-minute mark, right? At 12-minute mark, where is Kaushik's puzzle? This is a 12-minute mark. That is the 4th puzzle. So the second visual puzzle is basically the 4th puzzle as such, because the 12th-minute mark over here corresponds to this 4th puzzle over there. Now consider which is the third visual puzzle. This is the third visual puzzle, which is at 25 minutes. At 25 minutes, what puzzle do you have? 25 minutes, it's the 8th puzzle over here. So this 8th puzzle is the third visual puzzle. This is the third visual puzzle. This is the 8th puzzle. At the same time I take a look over here, this is the 8th puzzle. The 4th visual puzzle, it's at 29 minutes. At 29 minutes, let me take a look over here, 29 minutes. it's the 9th puzzle over here, which means that the visual puzzle is 9th in this particular order. Then if the visual puzzles are 1, 4, 8, 9, what is the order of the number puzzles? Firstly, 1, 2 has to come here, 4 is here, so 3 has to come here, 5, 6, 7 have to come here, then you have 8, 9, and the last puzzle is a number puzzle, which means 10 has to come here. So just looking at Kaushik's green line, and when he is actually doing the visuals puzzles, I can figure out that the remaining puzzles have to be number puzzles. So I at least got the order of the puzzles. Now that I have the order of the puzzles, I can go and try to answer this question. The question is that how many minutes does Suranjan take to solve the third visual puzzle in the competition? Third visual puzzle in the competition is the 8th puzzle overall. I want to see how much time does Suranjan take to do the 8th puzzle overall. 8th puzzle overall, Suranjan is the blue line. Consider over here at 7th puzzle. When does he solve the 7th puzzle? This is the start time when he has finished the 7th puzzle. When does he finish the 8th puzzle? This is the end time. What is this difference? This is basically one tick margin, two parallel lines. Since 5 lines make 10 minutes, each tick is 2 minutes, which means this distance has to be 2 minutes. So Suranjan takes 2 minutes to do the third visual puzzle. So this has to be 2 minutes. I see what is the time taken for doing the 7th puzzle. So 7th puzzle is done at 26 minutes. 8th puzzle is done at 28 minutes, which means that in these 2 minutes he has done the 8th puzzle. The 8th puzzle is the third visual puzzle, which means that he has taken 2 minutes to do this puzzle. So what is the answer to this question? To this question, the answer is 2 minutes. So this is Kaushik, this is 2 minutes. The third question is, what is the number in the sequence, at what number in the sequence was the fourth number base puzzle? Fourth number base puzzle, if I take a look over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth number base puzzle was the 6th puzzle. So what number should I write over here? Fourth number base puzzle was the 6th puzzle. Which of the following is closest to the average time taken by Anirbid to solve the number based puzzles in the competition? Anirbid and number based puzzles. So I have to figure out, I have to essentially fill this part and then I have to take an average of it to find out the answer. So let's try to do it. Now, should I do this or is there a hack for me to do it quickly? Is there any way in which I can do it quickly? Can I tell what is the sum of this? And can I tell the sum of this? And can I use these two to figure out the sum of this? I know the average will be the sum of this divided by 6. Can I find the total of the visual puzzles, the total of all puzzles to figure out the total of the number based puzzles? Yes, because if I see, when does Anirbid finish all of his puzzles as such? Anirbid is red line. So how much time does he take? He finishes all of the puzzles in 37 minutes. Now, from this 37 minutes, I have to remove all the time he takes for the visual puzzles. I get the total for the number puzzles, and once I have the total for the number puzzles divided by 6, I get the answer. So how much time does he take for the visual puzzles? I just have to trace the red line. The first visual puzzle is the first puzzle, which is at 1. So for the first puzzle, Anirbid takes 4 minutes. The red line over here, if you see, is at 4 minutes. First step up is at 4 minutes. So for Anirbid, this is 4 minutes. When is the second visual puzzle? It is at 4th. Again, I see the red line over here to over here. If I see, this is 3 minutes as such. This is the start of the end of the third puzzle, start of the fourth puzzle, end of the fourth puzzle. This is 3 minutes, so this is 3. The third visual puzzle is the 8th puzzle for Anirbid. Anirbid does the 8th puzzle in how much time? This to this, it is 2 minutes as such. So this is 2 minutes. So for him, the third visual puzzle takes 2 minutes. And the last visual puzzle is the 9th puzzle. It starts at 29. It ends at how much? This is half plus 1 plus half. So that is 2 widths, which is 4 minutes. So this is 4 minutes for the 9th puzzle overall, which is the 4th visual puzzle. How much is this total? 7, 9, 13. So this total is 13, which means that this total has to be how much? 37 minus 13, which is 24. So this total is 24. How many puzzles are there? Number puzzles. There are 6 number puzzles. 24 divided by 6. What is the average time taken for these number puzzles? 24 divided by 6 is 4 minutes. So the correct option is option D, 4 minutes. As you could see, this puzzle, I could do it very nicely. I could fill in all the values, do it very meticulously, but it would have taken so much more time than was actually needed. I could have just made the table so that it is clear for me to think what is needed. But most of this particular table, most of this particular set could be just solved looking at the particular graphs. These two graphs gave you everything that you wanted. Visually, you could see how much time was being taken, because all you had to do for a particular puzzle, suppose if you wanted to know how much time is taken for any puzzle, just see when the 7th puzzle is started, just see when the 8th puzzle has ended. So 7th puzzle has ended, 8th puzzle has ended, that is the time taken for the 8th puzzle. Because the minute one puzzle ends, the second one starts, right? So the minute the 7th puzzle ends, the 8th starts. So 8 start to 8 end gives you the time for the 8th puzzle. You need not have tabulated anything, just looking at the graph you could have answered. But sometimes you make mistakes by just looking at the graph. So have the table ready, but fill in only when it is needed. Otherwise, don't fill in anything. Don't waste your time filling in unnecessary values, because none of those other values were really needed. In fact, I just filled 4 values out of this entire table. Always remember this. Time is of essence in CAT. You should fill in a table only when it is needed. Otherwise, don't fill it in. So this is basically how you solve charts-based set. Tabulate the data as and when it is needed. Whenever a chart is there, the best way to think of a chart is a table, but don't tabulate it unnecessarily. Okay, so this is how you solve charts-based sets.
To crack CAT with confidence, you need a lot of practice and a lot of testing. And the questions that matter the most are the questions that have come in CAT previous year's paper. Each of these CAT previous year's paper you can attempt on Cracku. You can download it as a PDF, or you can actually take it in the mock format. Not only that, but each of these questions has a detailed written solution as well as a video solution. You can take these in the mock format, and later you can analyze your strengths and weaknesses. You can pinpoint the areas you need to improve it. So see how real CAT questions are asked. Learn from the detailed solutions. So build speed, accuracy and confidence. So visit Cracku today and start solving our previous year's CAT papers.
In this question, we are told that there are 3 countries, let us call them P, X and C. They trade amongst themselves and with the other countries in the rest of the world, ROW. The trade volumes are given in international currency. Trade balance, we are given the definition of trade balance, total trade and normalized trade balance. We are told that the normalized trade balance of P, X and C is 0%, 10% and minus 20%. Based on this, we can get a sense of what is their exports and their imports. For example, the trade balance of P is 0%. So the exports of P is equal to the imports of P. Let us assume that for P, both of them is equal to A. That is, P exports a total of A and P imports a total of A, because its trade balance is 0%. For X, the trade balance is 10%. What that would mean is that export minus import divided by export plus import is equal to 0.1, which is 10%. You can simplify this. Export minus import is equal to 0.1 E plus 0.1 I, or 0.9 E is equal to 1.1 I, or the value of 9E is equal to 11 I. So let us assume that basically over here we know that E is equal to 11 by 9I. So if you assume that the imports of X is equal to 9K, the exports of X will be equal to 11K. This is the ratio of the imports to exports of country X. Similarly, if you are looking at country C, the trade balance is minus 0.2%. The normalized trade balance is minus 20%, which is minus 0.2. This would imply that for C, export minus import divided by export plus import is equal to minus 0.2, or E minus I is equal to minus 0.2 E minus 0.2 I, or 1.2 E is equal to 0.8 I, or the value of E is equal to 2 by 3 I. So if you assume that the imports of C is 3L, the exports will be equal to 2L. So let me draw a table now. The table would help us in understanding the imports and exports of different countries amongst each other. So let us assume that the countries are P, X, C and rest of the world. This is also P, X, C, rest of the world. Now exports will be along the rows and imports will be along the column. We will also have one particular row for total. Here also we will have one column for total. What do I mean by it? For example, this particular cell denotes the exports of X to the country C. Similarly, because this is imports, this particular cell will denote the imports of C from X. Similarly, if you are looking at this denotes the exports of ROW to P. And because this is imports, this will denote the imports from ROW to P. This is basically what we are saying. Now, what is the total exports of P? The total exports and the total imports of P we assumed is A. So we are saying that this will be equal to A and this will be equal to A. What is the total exports of X? The total exports of X we put as 11K and the total imports of X we put as 9K. For C, the total exports is 2L and the total imports is 3L. Okay, this is what we know. Let us look at the other clues. 40% of the exports of X are to P. What is 40% of exports of X? That is 40% of 11K, which is 4.4K. This denotes 22% of the imports of P from X. So from the standpoint of P, 4.4K is equal to 22% of the total imports of P. The total imports of P is A. So this is equal to 0.22A. Or the value of A is equal to 20K. So this is equal to 20K. This also is equal to 20K. Similarly, we know that P doesn't import anything from itself. P also doesn't export anything to itself. So that is 0. This also is 0 because X doesn't import anything from itself or export anything to itself. For C also it is 0. C doesn't import or export anything from itself. But for rest of the world, amongst all the different countries also trade against each other. So we can't put a 0 there. Now 90% of the exports of C are to P. 90% of the exports of 2L is 1.8L. 4% are to ROW. So this is 0.08L. What about the remaining? The remaining will be 2L minus 1.8L minus 0.08L, which is 0.12L. 12% of the exports of ROW are to X. We don't know the exports of ROW. Let us assume that it is R. 12% of R is to X. So this is 0.12R. 40% are to P. So this is 0.4P. This is 0.4R. Export volumes of P to X and C is 600 and 1200. So this is 600. This is 1200. P is the only country that exports to C. So from the standpoint of C, C doesn't import anything from X. C doesn't import anything from ROW. So immediately it will tell us that from the imports column of C, 1200 has to equal 3L, or the value of L is equal to 400. So this is equal to 1200. This will be equal to 800. L is equal to 400, so this will be equal to 32. This will be equal to 48. And this will be equal to 720. Next, we need to calculate the values of the remaining two variables, K and R. If you are looking at the total imports of P, total imports of P is 4.4K plus 720 plus 0.4R. This has to equal 20K. This is one equation. We can simplify this. We are going to get 720 plus 0.4R is equal to 15.6K. Or if you multiply the entire equation with 10, 7200 plus 4R is equal to 156K. You divide this by 4, you are going to get 1800 plus R is equal to 39K. This is one equation in R and K. What is the other equation? You can look at the imports of X. The total imports of X is 600 plus 48 plus 0.12 R has to equal 9K. Again, let us multiply this equation with 100. So we are going to get 64800 plus 12R is equal to 900K. Divide this entire equation with 12. 64,800 divided by 12 is 5,400. Plus R is equal to 900 divided by 12 is 75K. This is the second equation in R and K. You subtract one equation from the other, you are going to get 3600 is equal to 36K, or the value of K is 100. And from here, the value of R will be 2100. So if K is 100, this will be 2000. This will be 900. This is 440. This is 0.4 R. That will be 0.4 into 2100, which is 840. This is 0.12 R. That is 0.12 into 2100, which is 12 into 21, which is 252. This is 2100. This is 1100. This is 2000. So we can calculate what is the total exports of P to rest of the world. That will be 2000 minus 1200 minus 600, which is 200. We can calculate the total exports of X to rest of the world. That will be 1100 minus 440, which is 660. We can also calculate the total exports of ROW to rest of the world. That will be 2100 minus 840 minus 252. This is 2100 minus 1092. This is 1008. Similarly, the total imports of rest of the world will be 200 plus 660 plus 32 plus 1008. This will be equal to 1900. So now let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. How much is exported from C to X in IC? The exports of C to X is 48. How much is exported from P to ROW in IC? P to ROW in IC is 200. How much is exported from ROW to ROW in IC? ROW to ROW in IC is 1008. What is the trade balance of ROW? ROW exports 2100, it imports 1900. So the trade balance is 200. Which among the following PQC has the least total trade? The total trade of P will be 2000 plus 2000, which is 4000. Total trade of X will be 1100 plus 900, which is 2000. And total trade of C is 800 plus 1200, which is again 2000. So the least trade is for X and C, which is option C.
Want to know how 100 percentile approaches the CAT exam? Now you can. Cracku is giving away 3 full-length mocks designed by 5x 100 percentiler Maruti Sir himself to mirror the actual test. After you're finished, just don't look at your scores. Dive into our detailed video solution for every question to learn the expert strategy. Plus, get a deep performance analysis to pinpoint your exact weaknesses. Get your free mock right now. Go to Google and search Cracku CAT free mock.
In this question, we are told that there are some friends and they're making calls to each other. There are 6 friends. 2 of them are from XITL. This is the operator. And 4 of them are from YOCEL. So you can look at them as operators X and Y. Now they make calls to each other. So basically a friend from X can call a friend from Y. And a person from X can call a person from X and vice versa. So if you're looking at it, so let us see what are all the different types of calls that are possible. We can have a call from X to X. We can have a call from X to Y. We can have a call from Y to X. And we can have a call from Y to Y. So there are 4 types of calls that are available. Every time a call is made, one will be outgoing. That is, if I'm calling a person, it will be an outgoing call for me. And for my friend, it will be an incoming call. If you're trying to calculate the total sum of all the outgoing calls from X to X, there are only 2 friends who are using X. Those friends are A and B. So if you think about it, the call that A made to a XTIL operator, there is only one other person who is using X, that has to be B. So if you are saying that A has made a 100 minutes call to XITL, it would mean that that call has to be from A to B. That is the only call with operator X that A would make. This would immediately tell us that the incoming calls for B from XITL has to be 100, because he is going to receive only one incoming call from X, that has to be from A. Similarly, if you are looking at the incoming call for A from X, it is 50 minutes. Like I said, there is only one other person who is using X, that is B. So the outgoing call for B to X, this also has to be 50. Now, like I said, if there are 4 types of calls that can be made from X to X, X to Y, Y to X and Y to Y. If you are trying to figure out what is the total outgoing calls from X to X, the outgoing will be 100 plus 50, which is 150. And what is total incoming? Both of them have to be the same. The total incoming also will be 50 plus 100, which is 150. Similarly, if you are looking at X to Y, what is the total outgoing from X, that is from A and B? We don't know how much is the outgoing calls that A has made to operator YOCEL. If you assume that this is X, the total outgoing from X to Y will be X plus 200. And the total incoming to Y from X will be the sum of all of this. This is the incoming from X to C, this is the incoming from X to D, this is the incoming from X to E, and this is the incoming from X to F. So this would be basically 250 plus 275 plus 100 plus 100. These two have to be the same. The total outgoing from X to Y will equal the total incoming from Y to X. So if you are calculating or if you are equating both of them, this 200 can be cancelled with this 200 and the value of X will be equal to 250 plus 275, which is equal to 525. Similarly, if you are looking at the total outgoing from Y to X, what is the total outgoing? This will be the outgoing of C to X, D to X, E to X and F to X. That will be the sum of 50 plus 100 plus this plus this. This is 0, so we don't know the outgoing from E to X. Let us assume now that this is equal to X. So the total outgoing from Y to X will be equal to 50 plus 100 plus X plus 0. What is the total incoming to X from Y? That would be basically the incoming from your cell to A and the incoming from your cell to B. This will basically be the sum of these two. This is the total incoming from your cell to A and the total incoming from your cell to B. So this is equal to 225 plus 125. Again, these two have to be the same because the total outgoing from Y to X is equal to the total incoming to X from Y. So X plus 150 is equal to 350 or the value of X is equal to 200. So this will be equal to 200. Finally, if you are looking at the total outgoing from Y to Y, the total outgoing from Y to Y will be the total outgoing from your cell from C, D, E and F. What is the total outgoing from C, D, E and F to your cell? It will be the sum of all of them. Let us assume again that this is equal to X. This will be equal to 175 plus 150 plus 100. Again there is an X. This is the total outgoing from Y to Y. What is the total incoming from Y to Y? The total incoming from Y to Y will be the total incoming calls from your cell to C, D, E and F. That will be basically the sum of these four. That will be basically the sum of these four. This is the total incoming from your cell to C, D, E and F. So this will be equal to 150 plus 100 plus 375 plus 150. Again, both of them have to be the same. The total outgoing from Y to Y is also equal to the total incoming from Y to Y. So if you are simplifying this, you can cancel 150, 150, 100, 100. 175 plus X is 375 plus 150 or the value of X is 350. So we can write this as 350. With this being decided, let us go ahead and answer the questions that follow. What is the duration of the calls from B to A? The duration of the calls from B to A will basically be the outgoing calls to XITL from B. Because there are only two people who are using XITL, that is A and B. So the total outgoing from B to XITL will be equal to the total duration of the calls from B to A, which is equal to 50. What is the total duration of the calls in minutes made by Anu to friends having mobile numbers from operator Y? So basically we are looking for outgoing calls from A to Y. Outgoing calls from A to Y, we have calculated it, it is equal to 525. What was the total duration of the calls made by F to friends having mobile numbers from operator Y? So we are looking for outgoing calls from F to Y. Outgoing calls from F to Y is 350. So the answer for this question will be 350. What is the last question? What was the duration of calls in minutes from Deepak to Chetan? We are looking for Deepak to Chetan. We are not looking for Deepak to yourself, or we are not looking for Deepak to XITL. We are looking for a specific person from Deepak to Chetan. Both of them are using the yourself. If you are looking at Deepak and Chetan, both of them are using yourself. So one thing we'll do is, we will look at the yourself to yourself incoming and outgoing. There are 4 people who are using yo cell, which is D, C, E and F. So we look at all the calls that are made because we need to specifically figure out what is the duration of the calls made from D to C. So we look at calls made by C to D. We look at calls made by C to E. We look at calls made by C to F. Similarly, we look at calls made from D to C. We look at calls made by D to E. And we look at calls made by D to F. We will also look at calls made by E to C, E to D, E to F. And we look at the calls made by F to C, F to D and F to E. Now one thing we know is that what is the duration of the total outgoing calls made by C? The total outgoing calls made by C is to yo cell is equal to 175. This is equal to 175. The total outgoing calls made by Chetan to yo cell is 175. So the sum of these 3 numbers has to equal 175. What is the total outgoing calls made by D to yo cell? The total outgoing calls made by D to yo cell is the number over here, which is equal to 150. So the sum of these 3 numbers has to equal 150. Out of this, specifically we are asked to calculate the value of D to C. This is what we are required to calculate, the total outgoing calls made from Deepak to Chetan. What is the sum of the outgoing calls from E to yo cell? Outgoing calls from E to yo cell is 100. So this is equal to 100. And what is the total outgoing calls made from F to yo cell? That is equal to 350. So this is equal to 350. Out of this, some of the numbers were given to us over here at the bottom. We are told, for example, that the calls made by Farooq to Ishan is 200. So we are told that this is equal to 200. We don't know FC and FD, but the sum of these two plus 200 has to equal 350. So essentially the sum of these two will be equal to 150. We'll calculate that. We are also told that there were no calls from Bijay to Ishan. We will not consider it right now because Bijay is XITL, so that is not needed right now. From Chetan to Anu also there are no calls, but again Anu is using XITL, so we will not focus on it. From Chetan to Deepak also there are no calls, so this is equal to 0. Deepak to Bijay also is 0, but again Bijay is using XITL, so we will not focus on it. Deepak to Farooq also is 0, so Deepak to Farooq this is 0. So the sum of these two will equal 150. Isha to Chetan is and Isha to Deepak is 0. So Isha to Chetan this is 0, Isha to Deepak this is 0. This would immediately tell us that Ishan to Farooq this has to equal 100. Now if you are looking at it, we know that the calls made from Ishan to Farooq lasted 100 minutes. The calls made from Deepak to Farooq lasted 0 minutes. So we can calculate the calls made from Chetan to Farooq. How can we calculate it? Because we know the total incoming calls for Farooq from yo cell. The total incoming calls is equal to 150. This is for Farooq from yo cell. Who is going to call Farooq from yo cell? It will be either C or D or E. The sum of these 3 calls to Farooq is equal to 150. Now, D to F is 0. E to F is 100. So the third call has to be 50 minutes. Similarly, if you are looking at these 3, this is basically the total outgoing from C to yo cell. So the total outgoing of C to D plus C to E plus C to F is 175. 1 is 0, 1 is 50. So this has to equal 125. We can also figure out based on the total incoming from E, the total incoming from yo cell to E. If you are looking at the person E, what is the total incoming from yo cell for E? The total incoming for yo cell for E is 375. Who are the people who will call E from yo cell? It will be either C or D or F. So the calls made from C to E, D to E and F to E, they have to equal 375. One of them is 125. D to E we don't know. F to E is 200. The sum of all 3 of them, like we discussed, has to equal 375. This would tell us immediately that D to E has to be equal to 50. So what is D to C? The sum of D to C plus D to E plus D to F is equal to 150. So D to C has to be equal to 100. This will be the answer, but just for the sake of completeness, let us also try to figure out the duration of the calls made from F to C and F to D. We can use any one of the two if you are looking at the incoming calls made to D from your cell. The incoming calls made to D from your cell, the sum of all of them is equal to 100. Who are the three people who called D from your cell? It is C calling D, E calling D, F calling D. The sum of these three has to equal 100. C to D is 0. E to D also is 0. Therefore, F to D has to equal this number, which is 100. So this will equal 100. The sum of F to C, F to D and F to E is equal to 350. This is the total outgoing to yourself from F. So this has to equal 50. Anyway, what is needed for us is the duration of the call Deepak made to Chetan, which is this 100. So the answer for this question is option A, which is equal to 100.
Every serious cat aspirant needs a secret weapon for the revision. This is yours, the Cracku Cat Formula PDF. It is not just a list, it's comprehensive and topic-wise guide for every formula you'll ever need to know. We've built it to be only formula sheet you'll ever need for your preparation, and we're giving it away for free. Find it easily. Just go to Google and search Cracku Cat Formula PDF. Download it, master it, and walk into the exam with confidence.